Okay, so I'll share the screen. Okay, what we will do then we'll create two components and we'll try to like understand how you can create two components and uh, like how two components communicates. By the communication means so how one component can pass data to other component and other component can pass the data to the first one. So let's create two components. Let's call it comp1. Yes, and call it. Let me create a new folder and there will let's not disturb this folder. I'll create one more folder called comp, comp and there I will create the I will need one JS file and one HTML file JS, and then I'll create both the components in this app.js itself, or let me create two files. So in the app.js, what I will do, I'll create a template. Inside it, here, I will add the Vue.js. I'll copy it from here, these two CDNs. Index.html. And here I'll create and inside the index.html, I'll create one div with ID app. Then inside the app.js, remove this new view component, and here I'll create a template. Here I will write div as div wait hello here. Okay, now let's run this. Cd count not showing anything. JS app.js. Inside here we have a div. It should show app hello. Not showing any error also.
It says type module. Is it because of that?
Type is equal to module. It's there.
But you're not importing anything. It's okay, is it? Even if you put that.
Yeah, yeah. No sir. Let me remove this and then try. No, no. App.js new view.
The element is app, right?
Oh, sorry. I have not added the EL option. It should show. Yeah. So what we will do now, we'll create two components and try to understand how they communicate. So let's create one for the first component. I'll call it the component one. So we are going to export this component. By default means whenever someone will import this module, this object, the object which we are creating will be imported by default, and you can give it any name. So what I'll do here, I'll create a template, and the template will say div from comp1, from component one. And I'll create the second component, port default template if if so. Okay, and let's add this inside this view, this root component. So by default, this will create the root component. So for that, we'll need to import this component, the first component, component one. Let's call it comp1. Keep it comp1, comp1.js, and then I'll have to register it because this is a local component. Components, components, and inside it, I'll call it component. Okay, and let's add this here. You can see that this is from component one is showing. So now what? So this is the root component. The component which we created using new view is the root component always. And these are the two components. So what I want to do, I want to communicate between this root component and the component one. So by the child component, what I mean is like if you are using the some component in some component, like for example here we are using this comp one inside the template of this root component, then this comp one is called the child component of this root component. So what I want to do, I want to pass some data, and one thing I told in the last session, that each component has a independent data. That is, this data, I mean, the data by default is not being shared between two components. Like this component, if this component has some data and return, uh, let's give it in name. You cannot use this name data inside any component other than this component, the component one. This is the independent data for this component one. If you want to use this name data in some other component, you will have to pass this data to that component.
So,
Yeah.
uh, like, what's the difference between when we write data colon and data as a function? Like,
See, if you are using, if you are creating the data inside the root component, then you don't have to create it as a function. You create it as a property. So if I want to create the data inside this view, this root component, then I'll create it as a property, not as a function, because you are expected to have a single root component in your application. But when you are using this data inside some component, then you'll have to create it as a function, because you are expected to use this template in multiple places. So whenever you will use this component in some other template, it will create an instance with this data. And when you will change this data in some component, it will not be changed everywhere. It will be changed inside only that component. Understood? So what I'm trying to say here, yeah,
yes, sir. Like, basically, we cannot write properties for components here.
yeah. For the components, you cannot write the data as a property. You'll have to declare it as a function. But if you are creating inside the root component, you will create it as a property.
Okay, sir.
So the inside root is in inside the div or inside the tab.
No, no, inside this view constructor. So inside the view constructor, if you want to add some data in the for this root component, then you will create it like this. So this data is a property which has a value, a method.
Okay.
Okay, let's write it city here, and let's say Varanasi. So when you'll create a data inside the root component, it should be a property, and when you are creating it, and the value of this property should be an object. And if you are creating it inside some component, then you will declare it as a function which should return a property, which should return a method. Sorry, the object. So whenever you will declare it inside a component, you will declare it as a function, and that function will return a object like this. And if you are creating the data inside the root component, then you will declare it as a property, and this property value should be an object which will be accessed by the template of this template, or in the computed property, or anywhere else inside this view instance.
So how can we access the data from the component?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the
Inside this
one
one.
which we defined as data function, right, in component one. How can we
Okay, okay.
access it, and where can we access it?
See, in for this component, this is the data, right? So if you want to use this data, you'll only use it here. Let's say I'll city, and if we'll go here and see, you can see that it says the hello Varanasi, and I have a property inside this component one, which is the name. And if I try to access it here in the app.js, you'll say that it will not show here, because I cannot access the data property of any component in any component. These are all independent components. They have the independent data.
So then what is the
And
purpose of data in that component?
yeah, this is the, like, this is the point of discussion today. So how can we pass the data from one component to other component? And if I'll go here and try to access the name inside here, you'll see that this will be displayed here. So now this app.js has a child component one, and I want to pass this city property to this component one, and I'll show it here. And if I will try to access the city here, you'll see that I'll not be able to access it. And you can see that if I'll go to the console, it says that there is property or method city is not defined on this instance. Okay, so now I want to access this city inside this component. So what I'll have to do, I'll have to pass this data to, I'll have to pass this city data to this component one. And how will I pass it? So what you will do, you'll go here and write the props option, and you define the props value. So it says that this prop this this data is coming from the different from the parent component. So declaring the props says that whatever the variable we are defining here will come from the parent. So if I'll go here in the app.js, and now if I will pass this city city and I'll bind this city value to this city, and if I'll try to access, okay, I have removed this, and if I'll try to access this here, and I'll be able to access it now. Understood? So if I want to use some property of the other component, then I'll have to pass that data from that component to the component in which we want to use. For example, here in this component one, we wanted to use the city property of this root component. So what we passed value we passed this value to this component one using this prop, and now I'll be able to access it inside this component one.
So, like, can we write like in prop city one, and
Here,
yes, and in the other like app.js,
yeah. If you
if
want to change the
so,
name, you'll be able to change it. This is okay. City is not defined. Okay, I'll have to change the name there also. So I have passed the city one to this comp one, so I'll have to change it here also, because I am like rendering this city one EITY. Okay, and if I'll you can see that the name Varanasi is appearing here. So actually, the prop name doesn't matter. You can name it whatever you want. The main point is, if you want to pass this from here, you'll have to pass this prop, this name, the city one, and this name should be same.
okay, so
Okay,
Hello, sir.
and
Excuse me, sir. Sir, if you want to add some other property
yeah,
like age, then
okay,
we can just give a comma and write it in that third
yeah, na?
bracket.
Yes.
Inside that third bracket, okay.
I mean, but But what I'm trying to say here is like this age one will also come from the parent.
So we have to define it there as well in
Yeah, not define.
app.js.
No, it's not necessary. If you want to pass some string, you don't have to define it here. What we'll do is equal to, let's 21. But I'll have to component one inside this component one age. If you want to pass only string, you don't have to define it there. Age is not defined on the instance, but age
In
one.
props, you've called it age one instead of age.
You can see that it shows the 21.
Okay.
Okay, see the point is, so if you want to pass some string, you don't have to bind this prop with any property. But if you want to pass some JavaScript expression, then you'll have to bind it with some object. With some object, I mean, this object can be of any type. Can be a Boolean or a JavaScript object, or you can define the JavaScript object here and then you can bind.
Sir, can you declare this data and another data in component 2 and access it from component 1, something like that? Yeah.
Okay. So you want to
Instead
create
of
a data
yeah,
here and want to access it inside this.
yeah.
Okay. Can do that. The process is same. What left now? Age, city, country, let's state. Okay, it should return an object. So we are creating a data inside this comp2. So I'll have to declare it as a function, and then this function will return an object, and let state. And now you want to access this data inside this component one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what you will do, you'll declare a prop here, and you will call it state, and here you'll have to first import that comp1, from comp1.js, and here comp1. So now I'll pass this data, this state data, to this comp1. So how will I do it? State is equal to, I'll state, and if I'll try to access it from here, then this state, and now this state is same is binded with this state. The state value is binded with this state, because we want to pass the, I mean, if we want to pass the JavaScript expression, you'll have to bind it. And now, okay, now I'll have to show it somewhere in the app.js. Let's call this comp1, comp2. if I will go here, comp2. So what we are doing here, we are using this comp2 inside our root component, and inside this root component in the comp2, we are using this comp1 component, and we are passing the data to this comp1 from this comp2. Let's go and run this. Okay, there is some error. Comp2 is not defined. That is that.
Import comp2 in main.
Okay, okay. What? Comp2 from comp2.js. How it should work. So this is comp2, it's showing. Where is the comp2? This is comp2, and we are adding this. We are using this comp1 here, and inside the comp1 we are
You're not showing state anywhere in the template of comp1.
okay, okay.
The comp1 template, there is no state. Yeah.
The comp1 here we don't have any state. No, but still it will not work. I'll have to remove it. Or we'll have to use the slot. State I have passed.
So why did you remove that? This is comp1 now.
Now, because it will override this. From the component one, if you'll go to the component 2, and it will show the component 2, and then it will read the component 1 with the component 1 from component 1, and then I'll have to, let's check what is this state. Unknown custom component comp1 to register. Okay, I have not registered it, so I am using it inside the comp2 components comp1 I'm using. Now it should work. Okay. So I have passed the UP and it shows the UP. And it is ignoring the component 1, it is ignoring city and age because this is coming from the parent component, but from the parent component we are not passing this city 1 and age. So that's why it's ignoring. We are only passing the state. I'll try to write it here and what is happening. So what happened? So we wanted to pass the component 2 data, no, component 1 data to the component. uh, we wanted to pass the component 2 data to the component 1. So what we did, we have a data inside the component 1, which is state. So if we want to pass this state to the component 1, what we have to do, we'll have to bind this state with some prop, and here inside the component 1, I'll have to receive it inside this state. And if I want to display it, I mean the mechanism is similar what we did for the root component. Is this clear?
Yes, sir. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Can you show the comp2 again?
So this comp2 has only one data state, and I wanted to pass this state to the comp1.
Got it, sir.
Okay.
Also, so like one question, like I have confusion regarding like when we write the template, sometimes we do not write the div tag like in template, and we just write a paragraph tag, and it doesn't work. It gives error. Like, so when to know key, like when to use div tag and when not to use div tag and
No,
when
no.
to use.
If you want to use the p tag, it will still work. The only condition is it should have a single parent. Like if
Single
I
parent meaning.
single parent means, I mean everything should be wrapped inside a single tag. Like if I'll remove this and I'll close this p here. I'll remove it from here. Now you can see that the whole thing is not wrapped inside a single component, a single tag. So this is one tag and this is another tag, and I have not wrapped it inside a single tag. So if I'll try to run this, it will throw an error. You can see that it's not showing here, and it will say that the error compiling template, the component template should contain exactly one root element. By the root element means it should be a single element. It should everything should be wrapped inside a single tag, and
When we
this
like
can
write, like when we write components for this, so component one, then we would we need to write in div tag or paragraph tag in component one?
no. If you want to remove it, these things you don't have to, because you have a single component, so it will not throw any error. So if you are like writing multiple tags, so you'll have to
Mhm.
wrap it inside a single tag. Understood? There is only one tag here, so you don't need to wrap it inside any tag, because there is single, it still has a single root.
We cannot make the template complex by having different tags in paragraph
Yes,
and bold.
if I want to use the same component again, so now we have two tags, but we have not wrapped it inside a single tag. And initially it had only one tag, so it doesn't make sense to wrap it inside a single tag because it's already inside a single tag. Now we have two tags. So what we will do, we'll wrap it inside a single. If I'll go and try access it, it will throw an error. It will say the same thing. Should contain exactly one root element. So now
Can
that
we
we have two separate tags, so I'll have to wrap it inside some tag.
can write paragraph tag
Okay,
instead of
okay,
div?
okay, okay. It will still work. You can use any tag to wrap everything.
But it should be only one basically.
Yeah, it should have only one root.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and one more thing. Let's say you don't want to bind this. I'll remove this. Let's say you don't bind this state with anything, the value, and you write directly up here. So whatever you will write here will be interpreted as a string. So if once you bind this, once you write the v bind, this will be interpreted as a JavaScript expression. But if you don't write it, it will be interpreted as a string. So if I'll go uh, UP2, let's write. And you can see that it shows the UP2. So you can pass the string also. It doesn't necessarily, you doesn't have to write the b bind always. You don't have to bind it with some data. If you just want to pass a string, you cannot. I mean, you can write it like this. But let's say you want to pass some JavaScript object like this. Let's call it zone, whatever. I'll call it in country India. Let's pass this single thing. So now, if you'll pass this, it will be interpreted as a string. Okay, I have made some mistake. Okay, I should be using the double quotes here. You'll see that this is being interpreted as a string, not as an object, but you have passed the object. But if you'll use this bind, whenever you want view to treat it as a JavaScript expression, you'll have to bind it. You'll have to use this colon sign or vbind. Now this will be treated as a JavaScript object. And if I'll go here, it still shows this, but I can access. If I'll go in the count one and state dot country, then you'll see that you can see that I can access the property of this India. I mean, I can access the property of that state. And if I'll remove this vbind from here, and if I'll try to access it, you'll not be able to access. You can see that the India is not here, and it will show an error. Cannot read the property of undefined. So it was not passed as a object. But once, if you want to, the point is, if you want to pass it as a JavaScript expression, you'll have to bind it. Like you'll have to use dbind. Okay, and now let's if let's say instead of a single string, I want to pass the whole object to the child. So what I'll do, let's country India, and this is an object. Enough. So I want to pass this whole object to the child. To the child means to the component one. This the component one is being used inside this inside the template of the component two. So component one is the child of component two. So I want to pass this. All I have to do, I'll have to use this b bind, and I just have to pass this state. Okay, what happened?
I think the problem is in app. Yeah, here state.country. Is it?
Yeah, but the state dot country should be so because we have passed an object. Okay, let's do one thing.
So
This state.
should the v bind should have a name, or is it like v bind equal to
No, no,
string?
fine. I am maybe I'm making some mistake.
Yeah, now you can put the state.country.
Yeah, the country name OUNTRY. Cannot be property of undefined country. Why? State dot country component to be bind state is equal to state. It should be like this. I don't know. I'll cover it in the next session. So the point is you can pass the whole object from here. State state dot country. Okay, I'll see it in the next session.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, in app.js, line number 6, this v bind colon v bind colon state. This means that look for the app.js.
Where in line number 6?
6, yes, sir. V bind colon state. This means that go to state in the function data, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes.
And then it says give the value state to it.
Yeah.
So it is going to take the entire object,
Yes.
entire property, I believe. Is that a
Yeah.
property?
Yes, yes. State is a property, but its value is an object.
Okay. So entire object is received there in state
Yes.
by component 1. Okay.
Yes. But I'm making some mistake. That's why I'm not able to access it. Okay, I'll see it in the next session. But you can pass the whole object from here.
Sir, had there been more parameters other than country?
I mean, it should not make any like difference.
How to call it there then in component 1?
In the component one, we are passing the state object. I mean, this whole object.
So it should have been state.country and suppose state.area, something like
No,
that.
no. Why area?
If we had an another
Yeah, yeah.
parameter
Yes,
there.
yes, yes.
So we basically have to provide each and every parameters or properties that we have in that object, isn't it?
No, why? I mean, I'm passing the object. Now I have the object. I can access any property of that object.
We have to access it like state.country,
Yes, yes.
or had there been some other
Yes, yes.
variable, then we had to give again state dot that. Suppose that it was area,
Yes,
municipality, state dot municipality.
yes.
Okay.
Country is not being displayed, is it? I thought it was being displayed.
Yes, yes. Dot country.
It's
I mean,
accessing.
looks like, yeah, it looks like it is passing as a string. Okay, one sec. I'll go to the view documentation too, and I'll see the vbind. In the view instance, not the component in depth inside the props. Passing a number, passing a boolean. I mean, this is all you know. Rewind author, passing the properties of an object. We can pass it following template. Vbind is equal to post. What we are doing. State vbind is equal to state throwing some error. Type error cannot read property of undefined. Let's remove that undefined thing. State dot country from here, and then let's see, it doesn't show any errors. Vbind post, vbind is equal to post, so we have a post. What's the issue? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense, but property or method. We have state. We are passing state to the component 1. Inside the component 1, we have state. Doesn't show any error. I don't know. I'll look into it. Let's not waste time here. So now, but for now, if you want to pass the object, you can do what I did. So I'll remove it from here. I'll keep it. And if you want to uh, state, and you can pass the whole object here itself. Country, India. And if I'll go here and state dot country, so from the component Narendra India, it shows the country name. See, you can pass the whole object from here. The only thing is, so whenever you are passing a JavaScript object, you will have to write the colon or vbind here. And if you only want to pass the string, you can skip this b bind or colon for the shorthand for the b bind. So if you remove this, it will be passed as a string. Okay, and if you want to pass this country, then what you can do now, if you just want to pass this country, you can pass it as the country country dot no state dot country state dot country, and it will be passed, the value India will be passed in this state. And now if I'll remove this, you'll see that you can see the India here. So I'm able to pass the property of this object, state object, but I'm not able to pass the whole object.
Sir, maybe curly, I don't know, but maybe curly braces are required for that. Inside curly
Yes.
braces state.
No, that will become the object. But we have the object. We have stored the object.
We are trying
We
to
want,
send the object there, isn't it?
yes, but the state itself is an object. This itself is an
No,
object.
sir, I was talking about having curly braces here.
Here or here? Line number?
6, where you have the
No.
quotations.
No, you if you'll pass it as a curly braces, the view will treat this as an object. I mean, this will become an object. But I want to pass this one.
Okay, okay.
Okay, I'll cover it in the next session. Maybe I'm making some mistake. Okay, so now we know how to pass
Sir,
some data.
this live session is streaming in YouTube, sir, actually.
It's streaming in the YouTube. Hello?
Yeah, sir. I didn't found it, but whether is it streaming or not, I want to
No,
check.
it's not streaming. I was not able to find the event. So I'm recording this live session.
But last 16th also this class is not there. So that
Mm.
also you're uploading, yeah? Because
Yeah,
it is
we have already uploaded that.
okay, sir.
Okay.
So just a quick point, if you can just try in where you're binding the state, right? If you could just take out the quotes and just send state itself without the quotes.
Like this.
Yeah, without the quotes, just an object itself. See if this gives you what you want.
Okay. Let me try. Okay, inside the component state dot country. Yeah, it works. So it
Yeah,
was
for
stating
objects, I
it.
think it looks like you shouldn't do quotes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's working. So whenever no, let's remove this. No, but what I read is like if you want to pass the whole object, you can just use the vbind. You don't have to bind it with some value. You can pass this state and then okay, it's okay. Like if you want to pass the whole object, you just have to remove this double quotes, and everything will be passed to the child. So should I repeat or should I move forward?
Let's move.
So let's say, okay.
Repeat, sir, please.
Okay, okay. So if you want to pass the whole object, like see, this state property is an object, and if you want to pass this whole state, then what you can do, you can use the vbind, and then use the name of this value, and this whole object will be passed to the to this to here, and now you can access the properties of this state. Like this state had only uh, one property called country, so I'm able to access this country, and if I'll write the let's write something pin 201, it should be string, let's leave this string, and if I'll go here and I'll try to access this property also, state dot pin, then you can see that I'm able to access all the properties here. So the point is you can pass some object from one component to the child component directly. You don't have to pass each and every property of an object. You can pass the whole object, and then you can unfold that object in the child and can use the properties which are required. Understood? From here, now I am passing this whole object. So now that we know that how we can pass some data from the parent to child, now we'll learn how to pass some data from child to parent. You know who is child and who is parent. The component which we are using inside some template is the child, and this and the template in which you are using that component is the parent. So for this example, this component 2 is the parent and the component 1 is the child, because we are using the component 1 inside the template of the component 2. So component 1 is a child and component 2 is a component 2 is the parent. And we what we did, like we pass some data from component 2 to component 1, that is from parent to child. Now if we want to pass some data from child to component, like if I want to pass some data from component 1 to component 2, so what we did, we pass data from component 2 to 1. Now we'll pass some data from component 1 to 2. So in this case, what you use the emit property. So what you do, you emit an event and you cast that event inside the parent. You emit an event from the child and you cast that event inside the parent. So I'll write it inside in the comment here. So if I see, if I try to write the hierarchy, comp 1 is the child, so comp 2 is the parent, and comp 1 is the child. And we learned how to pass the data from child component 2 to component 1, that is from parent to child. And now we'll learn how to pass the data from child to parent. So for parent to child we use the props, and from child to parent we'll use the emit. So let's declare some property here. uh, Okay, no, this is the too many child and parents here. I'm confused. So I will try to write the data. The data has been written here. One sec, I'll come back. Okay, let's create a button inside a component. Let's create a button inside this child component. This is the child component because we are using props here. So this is the child, and let's create a button. Button, and inside the slash button, and we will pass the data on click of this button. So let's create. So we have a data already here, name, and what we'll do, I'll add event listener, click event, which will handle the click event. And what we will do, will once someone clicks this, we will emit a event, emit, and we'll have to give some name. uh, Alert name, let's call it alert name. And let's not pass anything from here. uh, and if I'll go write the click me, and now I have used this inside the component 2. Inside the component 1, what I'll do, I'll handle this. What was the name? Better to use the camel case. Sorry, kebab case. Alert name, and inside the component 2, uh, alert name, alert name is equal to, let's define a function here. I'll explain it once complete. I'll finish writing. I'll explain it. Method. Inside the method, I'll create alert name, and let's write this window dot alert hello. And Let's go here and see. So we have a button, click me, and once I'll click it, let's see. Okay, this control thing is still bothering. State.control, let's remove this. Alert name is not defined on the instance but referenced during alert name. We have defined methods, I guess. Methods name work now. Let's check the console. It's clear. And if I'll click on this, click me. Come on. It doesn't show any error. So frustrating. Yeah, it says the hello, but it doesn't work on this one. I don't know. Okay, maybe this is coming from. Let's clean this code first. Inside the app.js, I'll go and remove this component one. You can see that it shows the click me. So what I am doing here is inside the component 2. So many. So this component 2, component 1 is the child of component 2, because inside this template we are using component 1. So component 1 is the child. So now what we are doing, we are emitting a event. This is how you create a custom event. By the custom event means you can cache that event. It's like the way you handle the click event, mm, or any kind of event. You can create a custom event, and whenever that event will occur, that will be that can be catch inside the in the parent. Like from this child, the component one, we have a button, and whenever some user clicks on this button, we are emitting an event alert name. And now if I'll go to the parent here, on the component one, what we are doing, we are handling this custom event. And what we are doing, we are one and in this code, what we are saying, whenever this alert name event is being emitted, you run this function alert name. And what this alert name is doing, it's saying hello. So this is how you create a custom event. But if you see that the control is going from child to component, because the component one is child, and this function is being this like event is being triggered from the child, from the component one. And if I want, I have a data. So what I can do, I can pass the name here with this emit. And in the component 2, when we are associating this alert name, I can access this name, and I can alert this name. You can see that the Narendra is being passed from child to component, from child to parent. Any question? Should I repeat, or it's okay? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, please go on.
Okay, so should I repeat or?
So repeat once.
Okay, so what is happening here in the component C? We are using the component 1 inside the template of component 2. That is, the component 1 is the child. Now, from the component 1, we have in the component 1 we have a button, and we are emitting a an alert name. This alert name event, and alert name event is a user defined event that is defined by us. So whenever we will trigger this alert name event, this can be catch inside the parent. So you can see that we are catching this alert name event here, and we are associating a function alert name with this alert name custom event, and whenever this alert name happens, we are running this function. And the catch here is we are sending this name data, which is from this child component 1 to this component 2. So this is how you are, I mean, in a way what you are doing, you are passing some data from child to parent.
When we have to pass like data like this, then do we need a button always?
Yeah, you'll have to trigger something. You'll have to trigger a custom event.
Sir, and the alert name is a callback function.
No, no, alert name is the like the event handler.
No, sir, the on the opposite side, on the right
Okay,
hand
okay.
side.
Yeah, yeah, this is a method.
Callback.
It's a method which we have defined here.
So, sir, that's a callback function. That's how we are calling it.
I mean, callback function is generally a function which is used inside the
To
function.
call another
Or,
function.
uh, what we call it method here. So
So
we are,
parentheses are not required to call methods. Methods are
no,
functions actually.
yeah. So is this understood? So what we are doing, we are creating a custom event from the child, and whenever some user triggers that custom event, we can handle that custom event on the parent. And what we did, we associated a method with that custom event, and whenever that custom event happens, that function is being run, and we are passing some data from child to component along with that event, and you can access that data inside the function here. Not here, you can name it whatever you want. This is just an example. So we are creating a custom event inside the child, and whenever we are emitting this custom event, we are catching that custom event inside this parent with the same name, this alert name, and this alert name should be identical. The similar way, the prop name should be the similar. If you are emitting the alert name, then the name of this handler, this alert name, this is similar to the click or something. This is similar to the event, but it's a custom event, not the like view defined event or the JavaScript defined event. This is a custom event which we build. Like the at the rate click, you have seen at the rate click in multiple places, like here at the red click. So this click is an event, but this is not we are defined. This is not, I mean, we have not defined this click event. This is being defined by the view. But here we are creating a custom event, and uh, we can associate it with some like trigger, and then whenever this event happens, we can catch this event like the that click event, and we can associate a method with this, or you can write a function here itself. But it's good, it's better it's good practice to write a separate method for this. And you don't have to call this function, and whatever you will pass from this here, like from here, what I have passed the name, and let's say I want to pass some more data. Let's pass uh, uh,
City and age.
Mohan, anything. Let's pass the
Sir,
Mohan from here.
can we pass city?
Yeah, yeah. City, this one.
Yeah, city one. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah, you can
quality.
pass, definitely pass. City one. So if you'll pass the city one, what will happen? That will be the next argument from here. Let's call it city and alert city here. Let's okay. What happened now? Maybe the name should be the same. In
So
JavaScript
should we
doesn't
use the
learn,
brackets?
huh?
So should we use the brackets, parentheses before and after city one?
Here,
Yeah.
like this. No, no.
As we had done in the line number two.
Okay, maybe we are not passing the city one. See, from the this is the component one. From the component two, what we are passing. Okay, from here we are not passing anything. I mean, this has become so complicated. So that's why we use the
City is
state
coming from
manager.
app.js, right?
Yeah, that is coming from there, and we are not passing that. So let's pass the city from here. So just to manage the state, we use the state management tool, Vivex, and we'll learn about that. Let's pass something else here. Let's pass daily. Now we are passing. Now we are passing this daily. The name is city one. The city one. Sorry. So now we are passing the city one to the component one, and now we have a value for city one. Okay. Maybe we have made a syntax mistake here. Okay. Now let's see. No error.
So city one equals daily means the city one is the alert name parameter, right?
No, no. This is the next. This is the props which we are using inside the component.
But then how
We
do
are
we give parameters?
see whether city one data is being shown. City one. See this city one I am passing from this component 2 to component 1 to the component 1, and now this city 1 I'm trying to pass this back to the component 2. That name, what happened? Let's remove this name one maybe, and if I'll go here and remove this one, let me check whether it can accept only one parameter or what. Yeah, looks like I'm making some mistake here again. Component 1 is only accepting a single parameter. I'll see why. So now I'll make change this name. See what happened in the component 1. I am passing this ct1 as a parameter to the component. I mean this ct1 is being passed to the component 1 from the, and then from the component 1 I am emitting uh, this event alert name, and along with this I am passing the same parameter ct1, and this ct1 is being handled inside this alert name. I mean, this is how you handle the event. At the alert name method is being associated with this alert name event, and then this alert name being triggered. Any question from there?
So like I did not understand, like alert is taking some parameters. So how does it know which parameter to take?
No, no, it's right now what I can understand is it's accepting only one parameter.
So how does it know which is city here?
This city, because this is the props, na?
Okay, so whatever we write in front of alert name comma city one, so city one becomes a parameter automatically.
No, no. I mean, the view automatically understand that this city one is a props. If I want to pass a string, then I'll have to wrap it inside some like quotes.
Mm.
Now it will be a string. If I'll go and click here, and you can see that it prints the city one. But if I have not wrapped it inside this single quote or double quote, then it will think that this is a variable, and this variable is a props. You already know that there is a prop named city1.
We can only use prop. We cannot use data here like name.
No, no, you can use it. So name can only be used, can also be used.
Mm.
So if I'll go here, and you can see that the Narendra is coming. So whatever you will pass from here will be received inside this method alert them.
Okay, so
So if you want to pass a static thing like a string, then you don't have to. You will have to wrap it inside the single quote. You cannot use double quote because you have already wrapped everything inside the double quote. So you'll have to use it inside the single quote. And if you want to pass the variable, then you'll have to remove that single quote. And you can pass whatever the data you have, like it can be props, or it can be data, or it can be computed property, anything.
But like, why are we writing city one equals to Delhi? For name, we did not write anything like in that. Why?
Yeah, see, the thing is, this city one is a prop, that is, it is coming from the parent. So this city one is coming from the this component 2. So we are passing this city one Delhi to this component 1. So when we are creating this component 2, we are making use of this component 1. And when we are creating this component 1, we are passing this city 1, the value Delhi, to this component 1. So the value of this prop city 1 is now Delhi. Understood?
Yes, sir.
The value of this city 1 is Delhi, and when user is clicking on this button, at that point of time, the view understands the city 1 is Delhi. City 1 is recorded. I mean, the value of the city 1 at that point of time is Delhi, because we have passed that Delhi to this component. So the value of this city 1 is the Delhi.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is how you pass some data from child to parent. From parent to child, you use props, and from child to parent, you use emit. And it's not that you'll have to always pass the data. If you want, you can remove this. You can remove this city one, and you can just emit a custom event, and then that will be cached here, and you can run whatever method you want to run. I mean, you can handle that event however you want. So understood. Okay. So let me pass this city one and name, and inside the component to city name. And if I'll go city plus name, uh, you can see that both are being received here. Thanks. Someone pointed this out, that this window.alert takes only one argument. That's why it was not showing both these things, both city and the name. So you can see that from here, from the emit, we can pass as many parameters as we want. So we have passed the city1 and name. City1 is a props, and the name is the data. City1 is city1 we are getting from the component 2, and name is the like property of this component itself, and we are passing both this data city1 and name to the component 2, and inside this component 2, on the alert name, we are associating this alert name event with this alert name method, and this alert name method is running single statement window.alert, and this shows which is showing a message city plus the name. So I hope it's clear how you are passing the data from child to parent.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now one more thing I wanted to cover, the slots. I don't. So what the slots are? So let's say you want to pass some HTML from parent to child. So right now what we are passing some data, either the JavaScript object or the string. I mean, string is itself a JavaScript object. So we are passing only the string, but we are not passing the HTML. So let's say we want to pass some HTML from parent to child. So for that we can use the slot. Slot act as a outlet for the HTML. So I'll explain this. I mean, it's better to remove everything from here. I'll remove all these things and I'll write everything again. No, but I'll not be able to push it to the GitHub. So let's create one more folder. Not inside here.
So from where we can find these codes?
On the GitHub. What was this? From this repo.
So can you put the link
Yeah,
in the
yeah, I'm doing that.
thanks a lot, sir.
Okay. So I'll create one more folder for the slots. I'll have to write everything again. So from the component, I'll pick this index.html. I'll copy everything from here. E, and in the slot index.html, I'll paste it everything. And from app.js, I'll write it. Not a lot of things to write. Index.html app.js. App.js. I'll create new view el app template if if flow, and now I'll have to this move to this folder. Slash, what was the name? Slots. Okay. So now our point of discussion is Like let's say you want to pass some HTML from parent to child. So what you will do, let's create two components, comp1.js and not one is enough. So so inside the template, let's say you want, so if you see that whenever we are creating the component, we are not writing anything inside the opening and closing tags. Like, so I will write the export default template div class div uh, comp1, and inside the app.js, if I'll use this component, import comp1 from comp1.js, I'll have to register it here. Components comp1. We'll go and check what happened over here.
The slash div closing was
Okay.
other one.
Here, it's fine. Get the comp1. Okay. What is this? One. Inside the app.js components. Okay. Name spelling is right. Comp1. Hello. And now inside the. Okay. We have not written anything. We have not added this component here. Comp1. If I'll go here, you can see that the comp1 is being written. And let's say I want to write something in between these tags. Let's comp11, let's write. You can see that this comp11 has no like effect on this component 1, because this is not being passed to the this component 1. Understood? So this is not being passed. Anything you are writing inside this opening and closing tags is not being passed to the this child. So if you want to receive this inside this child, then all you have to do, you have to add the slot. Now if I'll go, you can see that the comp1 and comp11 is being shown. Understood? So whatever you will write here inside the opening and closing bracket will be like a will be rendered inside this slot, inside here. So if I'll copy this, Control X, and paste it here. Then you will see that the comp11 will be shown first, because whatever you are writing in the opening and inside the opening and closing bracket will replace this slot. Understood?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So now, but here's the problem. Let's say I want to like uh, if you see the structure of the HTML, so how you write the HTML, you create a tag, and inside those tags you write multiple other tags, like it has the multiple layers in the HTML. So whatever you are writing here, whatever you are writing inside the opening and closing brackets is being rendered inside this slot. What if you want to use the name slot? Name slots means you want to divide your HTML which you are writing inside this opening and closing brackets, and you want to place it in a particular place. For example, let's say in app.js, I will write, let's header, and I'll make it div slash div, and I will write the main. Let's make it div also, div slash div and div. Sorry, I could have copied it. Div. I'll write it footer, and here main. So even if this header, main, and footer has a different uh, reason to create, I mean this everything will be rendered here only. And let's say I create a header tag here, and main tag here, main tag here, and footer tag here. Okay. Header name is wrong. Main and footer. So let's say whatever I have written inside this div tag, I want to place it inside this header tag, and whatever I have written inside this div tag, I want to place it inside this main tag, and whatever I have written inside this div tag, which has the content footer, I want to place it inside this footer tag. So for that, I'll have to create the named slot. So how do you define the name slot? What you do, you create a slot and give it a name. Slot, sorry, slot, and then slot, and give a name. Name is equal to header. Header, and you create one more slot here and give it a name footer. Sorry, main to main. And then I'll write the slot here, and the same thing I'll do. I'll copy it from here. See, I'll remove this slot. I'll call it footer. Footer. So what I'll do, whenever I want to pass something to this one, I'll have to mention that this component will go in which slot. So now we have three slots. Initially we had only one slot, so whatever we were writing inside this opening and closing bracket were going directly inside that slot. But now we have three slots. So I'll have to define where we want to place this HTML. Now for that, what we will do, we'll create a template tag, and we'll use the v slot directive, and we'll write the name like header. Yes, I'll have to write. I don't know. We'll check. So template, I'll remove this template template, and I will write this is header, and let's run this and see. So this is header is only being shown. We have written a lot of contents inside uh, this component one, the opening and closing brackets of the component one. So we have written all these things, header and footer, header, main and footer, but only the only this is being displayed. These are not being displayed because they don't know where to play. I mean, view doesn't know where to place these contents. And if you'll remove this name is equal to main, you'll see that all these contents will be placed inside here. You can see that the main and footer is being placed. So you can, this is how you create a default slot. So whatever you are not putting it inside the name slot, the view will put it inside the default slot. If I'll give it a name, then you'll see that these are not being displayed because there is no default slot in this one, in this child component. So either I'll have to create another template and name it main, and I'll write this is main, and then I'll be able to see this is main, and the same thing I'll have to do it for footer, and then you can, this is footer. I'll remove this here. So this will go inside this component one. I mean, inside all this, like you take the name slot and then you put it inside that name slot. So in our component, we had 3 slots and all are named. We didn't have any default slot. So if you'll not give any content the name, I mean, if you'll not put it inside any template which has the name, the view will not know where to put that HTML. So you can see that the hello is not being displayed. Maybe no, this is out of this component one. If you'll write uh, hello from comp, you see that this will not being displayed because this is inside this comp one, opening and closing bracket, opening and closing tags, and we have not defined where we want to place this hello from the comp. Understood how the slots are working? So you can create multiple slots if you want to distribute your HTML in multiple parts, and you can target those slots using this v slot directive. So using this v slot directive, you can target where you want to put this HTML, in which slot you want to put this HTML. Any question?
So, like, if we don't use the word slot in the components, and
Yeah,
and if we just write anything in the component one, like in the app dev, then that will not be displayed basically.
I didn't understand. Can you come again? So if
Like,
you not use
if
slot inside this template.
if we don't use that slot thing,
Okay.
and in the component one we just write anything in between the component tags. So
Yeah.
will it give an error or will it
No, no, it
display?
will not show anything.
Oh,
Because in order to pass the HTML from parent to child, you will have to keep some slot inside the child.
and if we don't give name, footer or anything, then it just puts anywhere like the slot.
No, no, that will be like default slot. If you'll not give it any name, that will be default slot. This is now default slot. So if when you'll run this application, what you'll see that whatever you have written inside here, hello from uh, from to, so whatever you will write here, and if the view will not find any name slot, it will put it inside the this default slot.
If we
So it
didn't
will
have
commit
any
it.
default slot, then
If it didn't have default slot, that will not be displayed.
okay, got it, sir.
Okay, any question? I'll put this to the GitHub.
Sir, I have a doubt in mock unit.
Okay, so we are arranging the like session for those doubts on Saturday. That will be revision session for the quiz.
Okay, sir.
You can ask it there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for joining.